Woo! We are live. Look at this. I'm so excited. My team told me not to say that at the beginning of the live stream, but I said it anyways, team. So be mad at me. They said everyone says they're so excited, but I am. I'm on 10. You know why? Because you guys get to meet my friends, some of my mentors, some of my brothers, some of my sisters, some of my role models on this Second Chance live stream. Today, I've got my good friend Buddy Curry with me. And Buddy and I, man, I don't know how we met, probably through Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we connected and we at a Einstein bagel and we started talking about life and family and football. And I actually was like, I like this guy, man. And then I came and I heard him speak at his Kids and Pros program, did a phenomenal job. He supported me through this journey. And I love, Buddy, that you get to be my first guest because you were one of the early supporters of Second Chance Athletes. And you heard me talk about this resource that we have. And you still stayed beside me as I figured it out and worked through the details and the kinks. And so I want to encourage all of you right now just to go ahead and comment. We want to hear from you. I want to welcome all of you. This is the time to share. If you would host a watch party, I'd be eternally grateful for that. That way we can spread this message to other people. And so let's get started. All right. So Buddy was a University of North Carolina football player. We do forgive him for that, from Central Michigan. He was drafted by the Atlanta Falcons in 1980 and was named NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. He spent 8 years with the Falcons, where he was team captain and a two-time All-Pro. Following his professional career, Curry spent 9 years in operations and management and 11 years in sales and fundraising experience with business organizations in North Carolina and Georgia. In 2002, he founded Kids and Pros, a nonprofit 501c3, which is phenomenal, by the way. It's a corporation and character-based youth sports organization that engages retired NFL players in their communities to teach football fundamental skills and character lessons to youth ages 7 through 13. And it's so needed. I've seen the program in action. I know Bobby is like your partner in crime, and you guys do such a phenomenal job. Under Buddy's leadership, Kids and Pros has become one of the fastest growing interactive communities in the country, using an approach that emphasizes football fundamental, position specific training and character development. And we're going to drop the link to Kids and Pros right here in the comments for you guys, so you can visit and support everything that he's got going, because it's phenomenal if you have a chance to see it in action. But Buddy, I'd love for you to tell them a little bit more about your transition out of sports. I know you were an amazing player, obviously All-Pro, but talk about that transition out of sports and let people into that season of your life.
Well, yeah, I had the privilege of playing football for 22 years, and from 7 to 29. And I knew when it was time to go. And I felt that I was prepared in terms of I received my college degree in 4 years. I had done things in the community. I seemed to be able to connect with businesses when I was there, not as much as I would have liked. But so then I transitioned, and I said, that's it. And, we're going to move on. And so at the same time, I got married and I had a child and then children. I received the job to an opportunity to go back up to North Carolina, and realized how unprepared I was for the transition. And I'm talking about unprepared. I would call myself a blank sheet, believe it or not. And I didn't know anything about business because I hadn't had exposure. I didn't know anything about relationships in terms of how to make a marriage work, how to give up yourself for somebody else.
Yeah.
And really, we're called through Scripture to die to yourself. I'm not dying to myself. I was able to do all these great things. And so I learned through the transition of not being very good in business and not being very good as a husband and then a father. And the world kind of came crashing in. And I learned that what I really had that helped me through it was the things I learned from playing football, which are things like hey, make yourself have a good attitude every day.
Mm-hmm.
You're going to persevere. You're not going to quit. When you start something, you are not going to quit. Be a person of integrity, because at the end of this all, what you have is your name, and
Mm-hmm.
what you do produces your name and who you are. And secondly, be excellent. Look, I didn't get to play pro ball as I would say, an average athlete if I wasn't excellent, if I wasn't competitive, if I wasn't going to do the things I needed to do better than everybody else, more than everybody else, right? And lastly, respect each other. So
Yeah.
shoot, I have a great relationship with so many guys I played with. Bobby Butler, who we played together for 7 years, and just a wonderful man. But but more than a football player, better than a football player. He's a man, and
Yeah.
he's got a great family. Matter of fact, most of the guys that coach with us do have families. It's really interesting how they matriculate back to what we do with Kids and Pros. So my transition was very, very difficult. But what I did is I hung in there, and I didn't resort to things that distract us that would provide a more immediate gratification. I dug my heels in, and I learned to love. I grew in my business acumen and the things I needed to do to be successful. So here I am now at 62, and 20 years of Kids and Pros, which we haven't done a lot this year, obviously. But, I have a more fulfilled life, and I'm really looking forward to the next years and how I can help and serve more people.
Yeah, I love that, man. And I think you are a great example of how to survive and thrive in transition. And I know COVID has caused a lot of people to be in transition, right? Like you were. And one of the things that I would love for you to share a little bit more about is one of the things that made you successful as an athlete and helped you thrive in transition was your attitude. And when I hear people talk about attitude, a lot of times there's always this tension between reality and my attitude, right? So how do I have a good attitude when I just lost my job? How do I have a good attitude when life isn't the best, throwing me the best hand right now? And I'd love for you to just speak to the individuals that are getting hit hard right now by COVID, and how can they cultivate a good attitude?
Well, first of all, I'll approach with empathy. And a great question, Darryll. Empathy, in that I've been through, when I was going through the transition and the crisis that happened in my marriage, I went through a minute by minute, maybe a second by second churning of my stomach, and I was so anxious. I should have been on some kind of medications probably.
Mhm.
I was an absolute mess, absolute disaster. And I understand what that feels like. And when you don't know what the future is going to hold, and the things that you want are not coming in place, so that's a real difficult thing. So I think it started with me with faith, and I began to learn about God and how much He did love me, and how much He is controlling of my life, or stewarding my life, and how He wants a partnership with me to live my life, in Him and through Him.
Yeah.
And from there, that built the stability from an inward standpoint to execute the attitude and the effort and the perseverance I needed to be able to win the day, if you will, or win the so
Right.
when we talk about the transition, and when things aren't going well, I think you're right. The number one thing is attitude. Okay, how do we have an attitude, a good attitude, when we don't feel like it, right?
Yeah.
And so I believe there's two types of people, right? There's the environmentalist, and then there's behaviors. See, Darryll and viewers, we were taught as athletes to be behaviorists. You know, the coach really didn't care how you felt. You're going to come out and get into practice, right?
Right. Right.
And so what you learn how to do is overcome your emotions, overcome your
Mhm.
body. So your mind controls your body, if you will.
Mhm.
So you learn how to control your mind and control your body.
Yeah.
So an environmentalist does is, when they get in a situation and everybody's feeling bad, they feel bad. So they're reflective of their environment.
Yeah, yeah,
But what a behavior does is hopefully that behavior goes, Lord, help me to be strong today. Help me to, I know I'm not feeling good and all that. Help me project a positive attitude, reflecting you, right? Behavior just goes and he perfects the good attitude. And he doesn't feel like it, but he projects a good attitude anyway. And what you find is that you will have a better attitude because you'll make your mind up and you'll act your way to it, if you will.
mm-hmm.
And other people around you will have better attitudes. You
Yeah,
know, so that has been a huge thing for me. And guys, and Darryll, I learned that in football. I learned that with my sport.
mm-hmm.
And I think the biggest challenge we have is taking what we learned on the field or court or whatever and implement that into our lives.
Yeah.
And the first thing other than faith, of course, to me is attitude. So yes.
Yeah, I'd like to just like, because we can understand that as athletes, but I know there's like a couple of people who haven't had that experience. But one of the ways you can still leverage the psychology or the genius of athletes, and not saying that athletes are better than other people, just saying that this unique experience prepared us for tough situations like this, is that game time was not optional. And that's one of the things that you touched on, and I loved it. And I just wanted to like re-emphasize that to people watching, because for some people, making it through this crisis is like up for question, right? It's optional if I'm going to show up and do sales calls. It's optional if I'm going to pivot. Like it's not like there's less control in my hand, and it's more about like everything outside of my control. And I just want you to know, like you can like make your success, make your future non-optional. Okay, like you are going to get through this. You are going to thrive through this. You are going to make your sales. Your business is going to either transition in something better or like whatever. I was taught that nothing happens to me and everything happens for me. And that's the message. That's how we cultivate a positive attitude. But I'd love to get into kids and pros, but I want to encourage the audience right now just to hit share. You know, Buddy has agreed to just share everything he knows and everything he is with you guys. And out of gratitude for him doing that, we would appreciate it if you just hit a share button, host a watch party, and continue to spread this message to others, because you just never know who's listening. I was on a podcast the other day and I was being interviewed, and somebody quoted me from some live stream that I did like months ago, and it was like 3 people watching. Like I didn't even know that it made such an impact in her life, but it helped her get through her son committing suicide. And I'm like, whoa, right? And so we're not talking about that heavy of stuff here, but there's somebody here in transition, somebody on your timeline transition who needs to hear this message. So go ahead and share and host the watch party. Okay, so Buddy, I want to get into kids and pros, because I just I knew you when I met you as a person that you ran a phenomenal program, because your organization is going to reflect its leader, right? And I had already heard great things about Bobby. And so, but when I actually showed up and saw it in action and saw the ways that you guys were interacting with the kids, like I was encouraged. I was inspired. I'd love for you to talk about your program, what has made it successful, and just let people into that world, paint the picture for them on what happens at one of your camps.
Well, first of all, I would, when you mentioned Bobby Butler, and I never can describe him as great a man as he is.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Kids of Pros is about the leadership we have, and Bobby is our leader on the field, along with a guy named Robert Moore. And these guys put their heart and soul into the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I knew is when I first saw Bobby, or reconnect with him in 2001, before we started Kids and Pros, as I saw him talking to these kids, and I saw these kids looking up at him like with just stars in their eyes, and like every word they were just soaking it in, right? And I said, man, I got to try to help get these guys that I believe are high character NFL players in front of kids and families.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how it started. And then Bobby and I got together and we said, what are the things that we believe in? What are the core principles? So sportsmanship, integrity, excellence, perseverance, and teamwork. And so we said, okay, that's what we're going to be all about. Then my wife got involved, thankfully, because she's the operations person. person and makes it happen.
Yeah.
And she created the front end, the back end, and all that. And we started having events. And what we found in events is that these kids loved it. These parents loved the fact that NFL guys were involved in helping their kids. And so what we ended up developing and where we're at now is that we have mainly 3-hour events. And we'll start it out with, we get all the kids together, and Bobby will introduce the 5 character principles. And the parents will be there alongside them. And so then we get them on the field, and Robert starts with our other leadership group. We'll start stretching them out, warming them up. I'll take the parents inside for about an hour session, and we'll talk about what is a concussion, what are the signs and symptoms, how we're teaching contact these days. And then, hey, let's talk a little bit about being a great sports parent. In other words, please get out of the way of your kids. Please let your kids enjoy the game. Enjoy this time in life, right? Don't
hey, buddy, how does that work out, man?
Well, I mean, all I want is parents to think about what they're doing, because you're not going to change people. But golly, just think about, put yourself in your kid's place, and that the kid is just trying to fit in, and you got a parent that's beating them up on the way home verbally from the practice or game. It's just not fair for the kids, And so we have that hour, then I come back out, and then the parents join the kids, and the kids are doing the drills. And we have 5 or 6 stations that the kids will go through. It's just basic fundamentals. And at the end, we have our character share, which is one of the NFL players will share his life experience. This is the most powerful thing in the camp, because we ask these guys to be very transparent and talk about kind of some of the mistakes they've made, talk about how they obtained the victory, and then we pair it back to the 5 core principles, because it's so true. And these principles are basics for having a successful life. So 2 years ago, we did, maybe 42 events, most of them over the summer. So we're really busy. So that's kids and pros, and we're looking forward to kind of reconnecting in the spring after the shutdown, and hopefully continue to impact people's lives.
Love it, man. Love it. And one of the things that I noticed when I was there is how much the kids were looking forward to it and benefiting from it, but also the players. Talk about what's in it for the players, and how have you seen this program actually? Because I know when we were doing transition research, one of the things that helps athletes transition is a sense of camaraderie, community, and a sense of giving back. And you give them all of that through your program with Kids and Pros. Talk about the impact that it's made on the players.
Thank you, Darryll. What a blessing, because we found that hey, we want to have a camp to help kids, and how much it's impacted everybody, and the least or the most, maybe the NFL players. So, okay, so you're a college athlete or a professional athlete. 2 things that are most important. Number 1, your sport, right? Number 2, you really love kids, and you want to teach your trade, right? Yeah. And so you get these guys in an environment where they got kids really looking up and looking up at them, and some of them have been disconnected. You get them involved, and then they teach kids, and you just see the euphoria and how much they connect. Now, that's one part. The other part, the guys who are part of our team, we travel in vans to most of the locations, and the conversations we have are so cool. It's like a locker room. I mean, we're saying all kinds of things, and some of them aren't G-rated, but we love each other, and it's how you get close. Yeah. It's almost like if somebody is depressed, go out and serve somebody. Go talk to a friend. Go connect. And what that does is it increases the hormones in your body to really liven you up, And I think that's what Kids and Pros does in several areas for their guys.
Yeah, I would definitely say so as well. I could see the players lighten up. I mean, I don't know who was more excited, the kids or the players. And I love it because it also gives us a sense to be a little competitive too. Because I saw some of the guys getting out there racing, probably too old to be racing, but they still do it anyways. Man, I'd love for you to you mentioned multiple times the importance of character. And sometimes athletes and character gets a bad rep, right? Like it's almost like if you are a really talented individual, but have some character defects or bad behaviors, that they kind of get overlooked when during the game. But you are actually looking for men, athletes of great character. Talk about the importance of character and how are you able to identify great character in others?
Well, boy, what a great question. I think our media and society are looking at the negative, right? We all know that. We all know that. And so, so what comes out in the papers is not kids and pros, but about the guy that made a bonehead mistake or things. I mean, that's highlighted in every area of our society right now. There's so many more people doing great things than there are so we know that. So what I've learned in 62 years, and the thing that I want to give my children is a great name, a great name. And I want them to have respect for me and love for me and all that stuff. But I want the name of Curry to mean whatever it's supposed to mean, right? And that hopefully is good. They have a dad that had a good attitude every day. They had a dad that persevered, those 5 core principles. And that I was very careful on what I said, what I did, so that I can reflect good on not only them, but their children's 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 children. I've looked at myself as I don't know if this is a good word these days, but a patriarch. My wife is a matriarch. We are starting a dynasty. And guys, if you want to start a dynasty, you start it with good character. And so people, they can believe what you say. You're going to stand behind what you say and do. You're endeavoring to serve others and not just yourself. You want to help others be good. That's great leadership, servant leadership. So character, how do we develop character? I'm going to tell you that everybody knows right and wrong, right? Everybody knows right and wrong. The challenge is doing it. So I'm a believer in training in life. I think we're all being trained. Now, some of us can say, no, not me. I'm not a leader. No, you are. You guys that are out there that are really not knowing what the future is and all that. People need you. This world needs you. You have a unique gift and talent that you're going to bring to this world. This world needs you out doing that talent, right? And so in leadership, we are to develop that. And the character piece is totally one of the most important, or not the most important thing. So what do we say today? You need to be authentic and genuine, right? People see the BS factor right away, right?
I know, right?
You're not authentic. And being authentic, hey guys, to believe in yourself, even if you had some things in the past, which I did, that I'm not real proud of. But you believe in yourself, and you're confident enough in yourself that you could be transparent. And many times in conversations, I will lead with something that people go, I can't believe you just kind of said that, because that's a little bit deep, right? And I'm okay with it, because I want to bring about genuine conversation, because I want to get to, hey, who's training you? My wife, she trains me. And I don't particularly like it all the time. It's not fun. It's because she'll say anything, anyway, anyhow, and all that stuff. We know how it is, us guys, right? But I need it. And I'm an idiot if I don't listen to it. So
me too, man.
I get it.
So this may feel like I'm backtracking a little bit, but in our last few moments here, I kind of want to talk about these two worlds of after sports and during sports. And I always have to be aware of my audience, because there are a lot of former athletes who follow me because of our work at Second Chance Athletes. But then because of my role in the community and things like that, there's just people who don't even care about sports. And I think that it would be helpful to them to let them into your experience as an athlete. What's it like to be a Pro Bowler? Like, what's it like to have success during the game? What's it like to be an NFL athlete? And then compare that to where you are now. And let's just dive in there for the last few moments.
Oh boy. Again, great questions, Darryl. So when I think about my years playing sports, I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, I'm trying to figure life out. But one thing I knew that I wasn't a football player. I was a man that happened to be gifted, and I had good gifts to play the game of football. So
was that something that you had in your own understanding, or did a coach or a teammate kind of emphasize that to you? Like, because that's not a common belief for a lot of athletes.
There was a humility that came along with not being the best ever in any one of my teams, but I produced the best. You know, so I had an uphill climb, if you will, even when I was one of the top players in my position, I never took it for granted. I always felt like, and if you look at Kobe Bryant and Michael Jordan, even though they had all the stardom, they were always looking to get better, right?
Yeah.
They never felt like they got there.
Yeah.
Well, again, I wasn't at that level, but what I'm saying is that as a player, I never took it for granted I was going to make the team. And I always had in the back of my mind the transition. I knew I wanted a family, right? I knew I wanted to be a businessman. So many NFL players and so many players want to be a businessman. We haven't studied it, and I think it's like, golly, sometimes we're apprehensive. Can we actually do it? You know? And so yeah, that I think that one thing was a big part of me being able to transition, where I didn't consider myself a football player. I consider myself a regular guy. And then when I got out, I was humble enough to take a job that didn't make six figures, or I was humble enough to understand that I need to be trained. And I'm going back as a 7-year-old player, or maybe as a freshman in college or a rookie in the NFL, where I had to learn. I had to put my time in. You know, I wasn't entitled, right? And I think that's what you might be saying is so many of the professionals think they're entitled. Because look, Darryl, we're to create our brand. Our brand is who we are, and that's how we make our money. And then what happens if we don't play anymore? You know, very few of us, some of us do, can maintain the brand, but majority of us got to be regular people. And you know what? I love regular people.
That's good.
I love people. I love it.
Man, it's you're right, and it's so hard though, because to me, it's not being a regular person that was the most challenging. It was starting from the bottom. And you talked about the humility that was needed to start at the bottom, but it was like a slap in the face, right? You get to the top of an industry and a career, and you put in your dues, and you paid the stripes, and you worked hard, and you mastered the game, and then you transition out, and it's like, I gotta be a rookie again. You know, like, can I just run this organization? No, because you don't know what you're doing. Man, talk to people about starting from scratch.
Yeah. So you just asked a great question. So you want to challenge, ladies and gentlemen, you want to challenge, get married, and learn how to outserve your spouse.
Oh, yeah.
So I could knock down 300-pound linemen. I could run down 4'4", 4'5" guys. I could do that. I could do that all day long, right? But learning how to love one woman, and learning how to serve her, and learn how to put her needs before myself, and then be at the same time, I don't even know who I am, other than I know I'm not a football player. I'm a regular guy, learning what I'm supposed to do in business, what I'm supposed to do in life, but at the same time have a note. That was very, very difficult, as we all know, right? But again, it's the perseverance. It's the things that who you are in transitioning from the sport to, okay, now I can't do that anymore. Okay, I got to put that away. Now I'm going to channel that energy and focus into being the greatest man, husband, father, businessman that I would be. And I believe that athletes, and forgive me, we have a hand up because we understand how to totally commit ourselves to goals, our mind, body, and soul. Not that other people don't. I just know athletes know this.
Yeah. Yeah. And one thing I learned is because when I was writing the book, my editor said, I love the material, but I feel like you are putting everybody that's not an athlete down in an effort to elevate athletes. And I was like, no, that's not at all my heart. I'm just trying to say that this athletic journey has shaped us in a unique way, right? And so we had in the one of the chapters of my book, it's called disclaimers. And so I had to say, if you read this and you feel like I think that you aren't capable or aren't as good as an athlete, I don't believe that. I just believe that we were prepared with a certain set of circumstances, no different than, people in the Army who are prepared in a different type of way for life. It makes them more disciplined in certain areas. It doesn't make them a master at all things, but it makes them very skilled at a few things. So I had to put that disclaimer in the book. So so just know that, and a lot of this stuff is learned, right? Like my wife is going through this challenge, and I hope she doesn't mind me sharing this. If not, it's too late. You're gonna have to pray for me, buddy. But she was getting up to, she had to make a goal, right? And she's like, it's impossible and all this stuff. I'm like, no, it's not. You just got to bust tail, right? Like, it's like you're down, because in football, when you're down 10 points and you got 2 minutes left, you have to fight till the clock hits 0. And she didn't have to do that. So I was giving her that mentality, and now she's crushing it and she gets it, because she was getting ready to throw in the towel. And I'm like, no, it ain't over till the clock hits 0. Let's encourage the audience right now. Listen, I know COVID has hit a lot of people. I know times are challenging, but it is not over until the clock hits 0. I want to be respectful of your time, buddy. You've got so much value to add. I could interview you for hours, but I know people are going to be listening to this in the car and all this stuff, and they're on the commute and they're getting ready to tune out soon. And I know people are going to be listening to the rebroadcast. So I just want to say thank you for tuning in. And if you're watching this as a replay, you can still host a watch party. You can still click share. You can still spread this message. Go to wherever you're watching this at, YouTube, Facebook, like, I don't know, everywhere this streaming to like 6 different places. But go ahead and subscribe to the notification so that when we go live with our next guest, you can get the latest notification, because I believe that this is really going to help people live out this transition that many people are facing right now. You've heard some great principles that Buddy shared today, and we're going to be bringing on guests from mental health and business and more athletes and coaches. And so this is going to be great for you. Buddy, people know how they can connect with you, but if there's any last things you want to share, I want to give you the platform just to share anything that's on your heart.
Well, 2 things. If I can remember both of them, sometimes it's hard to remember one. But number one, you have been an inspiration to so many. I've enjoyed reading your book. I've enjoyed getting to know you and being a friend. And you are tackling something that's so challenging to so many people. And I'm talking about not only athletes, but military veterans. And there's so many people that are in transition. Hey, man, life is about transition. But it's also about the principles involved and helping people and actually coaching and helping people through it.
Yeah.
And then the second one, like I told you, I can't remember what the second thing I was going to say, but other than that, I have enjoyed being on your show, and I wish everybody great blessings in their life. You're going to get through this. We're going to get through this. Hopefully, we're going to get better. Last thing. Yeah. What I'm doing, I've decided that I want to be a life coach, and I'm coaching people. And I started with returning citizens, and I want to be part of the solution, right?
Yeah.
And so all the stuff going on and all the back and forth. Look, man, let's go do something. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, Find something you can do to make it better, right?
Yeah.
We can all voice our opinion and thoughts and go out and do something, help somebody. You'll feel better and the world will get better.
I love it. I love it. Thank you so much, my friend. And thank you for those kind words as well. You guys, make sure you go check out Kids and Pros. And, buddy, I just want to say thank you for being a supporter of Second Chance Athletes, a friend, a mentor, a life coach to me in some ways. Thank you for our Einstein bagels, our emails, our text messages back and forth. You've helped me to continue to carry this message and this torch to other athletes and people in transition. And I can't tell you how grateful. I can't put into words how grateful I am, but I can say thank you in front of hundreds of people watching. So, guys, I love you. Make sure you check out our website. Find a way to subscribe to get the latest notifications. Share this. Host a watch party if you're watching a replay. You can still do that. And y'all, our next guest is going to be former NFL pro Chris Gronkowski. And can I tell him this? Oh, okay. We have a surprise for you. Okay. We're going to be launching a mental health challenge in honor of Suicide Prevention Month. So we're going to talk about that tomorrow. So you're going to want to tune in. If you want to live more mentally healthy, if you want to learn what it's like for Chris to be a Gronk, like, come tune in to tomorrow. We can't wait to join us. All the information is on our pages. We love you. And until next time, peace.